Hi gals, it's Kristen. We are here for Phoenix's 1 week update. And I'm on the floor because I don't want to try and like juggle him and the camera sitting on the edge of the bed, which is where I usually did my updates from. It's a little bit later in the evening. It's like around 4:30, so I'm coming in at the last minute getting this done, but I did want to share some with this first week, and I'm trying to like keep everything in mind. Here he is. You can hear him hiccuping. But he's kind of down in my lap. He's let's see if I can move it down a little bit. He's having a good day today. The last couple of days have been really good days. So that makes me happy, and I think he's been pretty content because he's been having pretty good days too. So let's see. So let's give he'll be 2 weeks old tomorrow. So this was like his 1 week old update for when he was 1 week old. And I think that overall it's gone really well. For me, my milk is definitely in. All last week he nursed tons. Look at his little faces that he's making. Anyways, all last week he nursed tons and tons and tons. And so like I felt full but had no drips or leaks or anything. And now this week he's not nursing quite so insistently. He's spaced out the nursings a bit. He's giving longer stretches of naps, which I think that's probably the big thing. That spacing the nursings out is that his naps are stretching a little bit longer. And so I've had some leaking and getting pretty full. I actually ended up pumping a couple of times with my pumps. I got to test out my double electric pump, which I've used one before, but it was a friend's when I was at a midwifery workshop. So this was the first time that I used mine, and it worked pretty well. So I ended up pumping, probably 13 or 14 ounces all total in those 2 sessions, and ended up, I gave the milk to my toddlers to drink because I don't really have any way to store it right now. I do actually kind of want to store some up for him just in case something happens, like I'm going to a birth or something. Right now I'm feeling like his temperament's probably going to be pretty good, but just in case, I'd like to get a stash stored in the freezer, but I need to get some storage bags for that and kind of look into that. I'm actually reading a book right now about pumping and working, which isn't completely relevant to my situation, but it's a great book. I'm actually probably going to recommend it to moms. I can't remember the name of the book. It's like 3 words, something like work, pump, repeat. That might be the name of it. Anyways, it's out front, so I don't have it right now, but I'll try and tell you all about it. But it's a great book. It's hilariously funny. But she's given a lot of ideas, and so I feel like, especially like, it'll probably be more pertinent when he's older, when he's not as mobile, when he is mobile himself, but he's not as portable, because smaller babies are more portable than crawlers and walkers and toddlers. So, I mean, he'll probably still be nursing at a year, but I probably won't take him to births then, so I probably will have to pump if we are at a longer birth. And so some of the tips have been really helpful, like thinking about nursing or pumping in cars and stuff like that, which is, I was actually thinking, like, you know, because we go to births at people's houses, and sometimes people live in really small houses and there's like nowhere private, so I might end up in my van pumping. And so anyways, it's just been a really great book for me as like a childbirth educator and as a student midwife to be able to recommend as a resource for moms who are going to be working full time, and then also thinking some tips for me to store aside for me. But anyways, so I've been reading that book this week, so that's why that came up, and I did get to pump. Let's see what else is going on with me. Physically, I feel pretty good. Earlier this week I was like feeling weak, you know, just like I've been mostly sitting, like you feel after you've been sick, and have been in bed for a while. And so I've made a conscious effort the past couple days to get up and start moving a little bit more, just walking. And I feel better for that. So just starting to build up my strength. And next week I'm planning on actually starting to take short walks with him like not just around the house, because I'll be at the 2-week mark and I'll feel ready for that. My bleeding is pretty light right now. Almost done, I would say. I hope. It could drag on like this for, you know, for a while longer. But right now I'm having like nothing at all in the mornings, in the afternoons a little bit. So I'll take that, and hopefully it'll finish up soon. I was worried because I had a little more bleeding with his birth than I have with my last few, and it was pretty heavy right after his birth, that and I had some clots, which I really haven't had in a few pregnancies, but it's gotten much lighter real quickly. So even with a little bit extra loss, just I think because he was so big and the placenta was so big, and an eight times pregnancy and birthing uterus with a huge baby, it just took a little bit more work for it to go back down. But now, like, I've actually felt where it is, and it's really low in my pelvis, and like I said, my bleeding's really minimal, which makes me pretty happy. So physically I'm feeling good. Bleeding's minimal. My family's definitely been working, bless you, working pretty hard to help me out. I'm not sure how much I'll start doing next week. I have a luxury this time around because Scott's, work at home daddy, so he can do more, but I am anticipating that I'm going to start probably getting back into meals and that sort of thing. I got some meals up in the freezer, not as many as I would have liked, but I'll probably try and use those. And then I'm already thinking about like making more freezer meals. Like when I make a meal, I'm gonna double it so that I have a freezer meal. Phoenix, you're going cross-eyed here. But anyways, so I'll start some of that next. Sorry, camera stopped there. But like I said, I feel ready to start getting into a little bit more. I've started doing a little bit of tidying. You can't see the mess around me right now, but I've started kind of working on getting his clothes sorted out. They have just been in a little bin, which I can show you. So they have just been in this storage bin, and I'm working on, there's drawers under my bed, and I'm getting them transferred into a drawer under my bed so that, they're not just sat in the middle like you guys saw on my pregnancy updates. I showed you how everything was just stacked over here. And so that's something I've been working on. I've been working on tidying in the bathroom a little bit, just because it makes me feel better to do that. So anyways, that's how I'm feeling. He's been doing real well. He's a pretty content little guy. He's pretty happy with whomever's holding him. He does definitely like being in arms. He doesn't want to be sitting on his own very much, but that's pretty normal. But he's pretty content no matter whose arms he's in. He does prefer for people who aren't me to be walking or moving, but if they are, he's happy. And that makes me happy. I've been kind of intentionally encouraging kids to take him and hold him, because I kind of want him to get used to being able to be held by other people, not just me. I tend to have babies who are super mama-centric, and I kind of want a baby who's a little bit more laid back this time around, because I am going to be taking him with me to appointments, prenatals, postpartums, and to births. So, I need him to kind of be a little bit laid back. So I'm trying to encourage that in him. Nursing's going really well. Like I said, he's kind of spacing out the nursings because his napping is going really well. He's definitely been pretty easy to start to ease into a nap time routine, which might be personality. It might be some tips that I've just picked up and learned over mothering. But one of the things that I really like is I'm able to put him down for a nap without having to nurse him down, and he's about ready for a nap now. Because one of the big keys that I've learned is that oftentimes newborns and babies get cranky because they're tired and not necessarily because they want to eat. So when I was a young mom just getting started, my default for everything was nurse, 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 which I think is a good way to start off. You really can't go wrong with comforting a baby by nursing. But sometimes they get cranky because they're tired. And so one of the things that I've been noticing with him is that the rule of thumb kind of with young babies, is newborn babies, is that you look at how long they've been awake, not really how long they've napped. And so once they get to where they've been awake for an hour and a half, or 2 hours max, they're really tired. They're, and they get overstimulation. For them doesn't necessarily mean lots of whirling and bright lights. It just means too much, and they need to sleep, but they keep just being stimulated by being awake. So anyways, with him, I've really been watching him, and he's like bright and alert usually for about an hour and a half or so, and then he starts getting tired. And so what I do is, right when he gets up from his nap, I've been nursing him, and then just kind of holding him and playing with him, or letting other people play with him. He's, like I said, he's pretty content when he's with me, so he'll just kind of sit with me, and I spend a lot of time with him like this, just looking at him and kissing him and talking to him. But then once he starts to get cranky, I check his diaper, and I usually swaddle him for nap times. I've been swaddling him for bedtime, but then I can usually swaddle him and hold him, and he'll just fall asleep in my arms, which is really, really nice. And I think that part of that's his personality, and part of it is that as soon as he started showing those tired signs like that, I got him ready and swaddled him, and then had him in a comfortable, safe place, and he's able to just fall asleep. And when he does that, this is the rock and play right here. For the past couple days at least, I've been able to put him into the rock and play, excuse you, and have him sleep in the rock and play for a couple hours. So maybe for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's been really nice. And then I'll get him up and nurse him, and we just kind of start over again. But it's been really nice for me. There was one day this week where he wanted to be held pretty much all day. And by the end of the day, I was really feeling frustrated because, only had one hand because I'm holding the baby, and I just was starting to feel that kind of touched out. And then the last couple days, he's napped in the rock and play a couple times. I probably won't put him back in it for his evening nap, but for his morning and afternoonish kind of nap, oh, Woody, it's been really nice. So, and I've gotten that hour and a half or so of time where my arms were free, which really is very helpful to me. And then the rest of the time, I feel like okay with holding him and cuddling him and everything pretty much nonstop the rest of the time, because I've had at least a little bit of time each day where he was sleeping somewhere else. So that's gone well for us. I have been kind of watching the clock with all of that, because like I said last week, one of my goals is to get him to have kind of a nice routine for his day, for his naps, because we're a busy homeschooling family, and it's nice if I know that he's here napping once in the morning when I can be doing school with the older kids, and also to have a nap in the afternoon so that I can work some on the website and that sort of thing. So it's been nice that he's kind of working into that pretty well. And like I said, I think part of it's his personality, and part of it's just knowing some tips and tricks and being willing to kind of work with him and help him, help him work into that and help him to be content while he's awake, learning to be content with me. We still have been using the pacifier some. I haven't had to use the pacifier like I did last week because nursing was challenging. I've used it more to soothe him when I know that he's had a big nursing and he's just a little unsettled. Let him use the pacifier to suck for a few minutes. And again, that's a choice that I wouldn't have made previously, but now I want a baby who's able to be, who's able to be content without having to be stuck to me all the time, because that'll just make it easier for him to be with me. Because he'll be able to be on my back, and he'll be able to sit on the floor and that sort of thing, while I'm at prenatal appointments and postpartum appointments and here and there a birth. So the other thing I really want to start doing with him next week is carrying him a little bit more in a carrier. I haven't gotten the Mai Tai yet to be able to try and do the newborn back carry. That's the only carrier you can do a newborn back carry with. I would really like to get that. Baby Hawk actually has a print right now, a Phoenix print. It's one of their one-of-a-kinds, but it's like $100. So that one's a pipe dream, but I was like, oh, that would be cool if I could put Phoenix in the Phoenix print. But I'm still watching eBay, and hopefully we'll find one on there. But just get him used to the carrier, and if I do get one of those, start getting him used to the back carry. For prenatal appointments and things, when I start to do those, probably next month, I will at least go next month for my primary. I'll be the primary midwife under supervision. I'll go for those clients' appointments. I don't know how many others I'll go to. We'll see. But, you know, but I'll just have him with me, like, in arms like this. But when I start going back to births, which will be probably mid to late December, I want to be able to have him used to being in a back carry, if at all possible. I don't have any primary clients in December. My primaries really begin in the spring. They're all due in the spring. So that's nice because he'll be bigger then, so probably big enough to go in an ergo, and we will have gone to quite a few births just as an assistant. And as a, just a student, but not the primary under supervision. So we'll have kind of worked that out. I'm already like logistically thinking through, okay, what is it going to take for me to be ready to get up in the middle of the night and get out of the door in 5 minutes with the baby? Because I went to a ladies' Bible study last night, and getting out the door was not the smoothest thing ever. Fortunately, it was just to a friend's house like 10 minutes away, but it's like, oh, I got to get used to getting out the door with the baby, and especially getting up in the middle of the night, getting him changed and ready to go. It's going to take some logistical planning, but fortunately, we still have a while before that comes up. Let me think about other things going on with him. He's got a belly button now, so his cord actually fell off. It was about to fall off in last week's video, and it fell off pretty much right after the video. We've been doing some ECing with him, and that's been going pretty well. We've caught several poops and a couple pees. I haven't like really pushed it or really worried about it too much because I feel like I'm working on so many other things. Oh, are you offended by that? I feel like I'm working on, getting his nap time routine and everything, but my hope is that once I feel like I've gotten him kind of into a napping routine and all of that, that I'll be able to kind of figure out good spots to incorporate ECing. We've always kind of been time-based ECers, especially early on, going by, okay, he's just woken up, so let's try, he's just nursed, and he sat and played for a few minutes, so let's try that sort of thing. So I'll try and figure out kind of in the coming weeks how to incorporate it, because I'd really like to stop having to rinse poopy diapers out. It would be good to get the poops caught at least. But so EC is going well, like as a beginning, and I'm hoping again to get even more figured out in the routine for how to make that happen more consistently. Let's think, what else do we need to talk about, buddy? What else is going on? What else is going on? Let's see, we talked about ECing. I haven't had him wait or anything. We'll have appointments next week, so I'll be able to give you updates from his 2-week appointment next week. Yeah, I think really he's pretty content. Like I said, I'm feeling pretty good. Definitely don't feel ready to jump back into everything for the website yet, which is stressful because that's our source of income, and it's definitely down right now. But I'm just, praying and believing that as I jump back in, that'll boost back up and that sort of thing. But I'm still really just trying to treasure this time with him, cuddling with him, like not getting up super early in the mornings right now, though I need to get back to getting up. Because, it's just so sweet to wake up and be curled up with him, and he's doing well at night. He's co-sleeping with us, so I couldn't tell you how often he's nursing. I do have a silent alarm on my Fitbit that goes off at 3:30, so it just buzzes at 3:30 because I do kind of want to try and nurse him then, because if I nurse him then and I am getting up early, like I like to get up at like 5 or so. So my hope is that if I nurse him then I would be able to get up and he could stay cuddled in bed with Scott, and then I'll be able to get him up again at around 6 when I get the rest of the kids up. But I'm not really being super crazy about that, because if he nurses at 3 and then that buzzes at 3:30, he's probably not going to want to nurse. And I don't have it like as a loud alarm or anything. It just vibrates on my arm because I wear the Fitbit to bed because it's tracked sleep. But I am hoping that that by doing that, that I can start to move towards being aware of, okay, let's just encourage him to latch on at 3:30, and then hopefully he'll kind of be full, and stay full for me when I get up. But I haven't been getting up early yet. So maybe tomorrow morning, I don't know, probably not. But definitely next week, I'll probably start trying to get up a little earlier, because I really need to get up earlier than my kids to be at my best, especially when I'm trying to get back into things. We're not going to start homeschool again next week. I had originally planned to, but because he came a week late, I'm going to give myself that extra week. We kind of have that margin built into our homeschool year. So anyways, that's how things are going with us. And now I think he's definitely getting cranky, so we'll go. And let me get him settled, because he's probably ready for a nap, so he can nap on my tummy this evening. But say hi to everybody, Phoenix. Oh, say hi. So Phoenix says hi. Life is good. We'll talk more about diapers and babies and life and coming updates. And we're thinking about everybody. I'll be working on his birth story. Hopefully next week I'll be able to get the birth story podcast, and we'll be working on the written birth story some more too. I'm kind of waiting for the photographs before I release that, but I'll probably try and do the podcast next week. So you'll get more there. And otherwise, I hope that y'all have a blessed week, and we will talk to you soon.